For 17 years, they said it was impossible. They called it pseudoscience. They destroyed papers to silence the evidence. But in 2023, something changed. Two of the loudest skeptics reversed their position. Michael Shermer and Mark Defant now admit it happened. The evidence became undeniable. 12,800 years ago, Earth was struck by a comet, and the scientific establishment fought to ignore it. This is the story of that resistance and why it finally broke. Picture North America 13,000 years ago. Giants walked this continent. Colombian mammoths, 22,000 pounds each. Saber-toothed cats, ground sloths 3 times your height. Alongside them lived the Clovis people, master hunters with fluted stone points. Then something happened. In a geological instant, over 30 species vanished. The Clovis culture disappeared from the archaeological record. The planet plunged into a 1,000-year deep freeze. Scientists call it Younger Dryas. For decades, researchers debated the cause: climate change, human hunting, natural warming cycles. But one explanation was forbidden to speak. In 2007, a team of researchers proposed something radical. Richard Firestone, James Kennett, Alan West, they claimed a fragmented comet struck Earth. The impact triggered the deep freeze. It killed the megafauna. It ended the Clovis world. The academic response was swift and brutal. Papers rejected, funding denied, reputations attacked. Physicist Mark Bosello called it pseudoscience. The establishment closed ranks. Overhunting, glacial lake floods, normal climate cycles, a comet. That was fringe thinking. That was dangerous to the paradigm. So they buried it. But the evidence kept mounting. Microscopic spherules at impact sites across 4 continents. A platinum spike in Greenland ice cores. Nanodiamonds require temperatures about 2000 degrees Celsius. A massive crater buried under Greenland ice. Each discovery made the hypothesis harder to dismiss. And then came the reversals. Michael Shermer, founder of Skeptic magazine, he debated the proponents on Joe Rogan's podcast. He called their evidence weak. He is now convinced the impact happened. Mark Defant, geologist, equally skeptical initially. He has also changed his position. The evidence finally broke through the resistance. The microscopic trail of evidence. They tried to ignore the scientific battle that destroyed careers. The moment a buried crater changed everything, and the ongoing threat still crosses Earth's orbit twice yearly. Why did they resist for 17 years? What evidence finally convinced the skeptics, and why this matters for our future? Let us start with event itself, the event that changed everything. 12,800 years ago, Earth was warming. The Ice Age was ending. Glaciers that covered half of North America were retreating. The climate had been improving for 2,000 years. Then something reversed it violently. Temperatures plummeted within decades, not centuries, decades. The northern hemisphere crashed back into the Ice Age conditions. Scientists call this the Younger Dryas cooling event. It lasted 1,200 years. Think about that timeline for a second. 2,000 years of steady warming gone in one human lifetime. What force on Earth could do that? But the climate was not the only thing that changed. At the exact same moment North America is lost, its giants, mammoths, mastodons, giant short-faced bears, American camels, horses, dire wolves, over 30 genera of megafauna vanished. These animals had survived multiple ice ages. They had endured warming periods, cooling periods. They have lived through hundreds of thousands of years. Then, in one narrow window, extinction. Here is what makes this stranger. The Clovis culture disappeared simultaneously. Their distinctive stone points vanish from the archaeological record. No more Clovis sites after 12,800 years ago. So we have 3 simultaneous catastrophes: abrupt climate reversal, mass extinction, cultural collapse, all happening in the same geological instant. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern demanding explanation. The mainstream explanation, human overhunting. Paul Martin proposed the overkill hypothesis in 1967. Newly arrived Clovis hunters were too efficient. They drove species to extinction. But wait, that does not explain the climate. Alternative theory, a glacial lake flood. Lake Agassiz released massive fresh water into the North Atlantic. This shut down ocean circulation patterns. The heat conveyor stopped. Temperatures dropped. Okay, but that does not explain the extinctions or the Clovis disappearance. Here is where it gets interesting. At dozens of archaeological sites across North America, there is a layer. Archaeologists call it the black mat. It is thin, organic, rich stratum marking the boundary. And here is what archaeologist Vance Hines said about it. I'm going to read this exactly. No skeletal remains of horse, camel, mammoth, mastodon, or Clovis artifacts have ever been found in the black mat, and no post-Clovis artifacts have ever been found below it. Stop and think about what that means. Everything below the layer, megafauna and Clovis. Everything in the layer, nothing. Everything above the layer, a different world. So what created that boundary? What event was powerful enough to reverse 2000 years of warming in decades, kill off dozens of species across an entire continent, and force the reorganization of human populations, all at the exact same moment in time? The establishment had their answers ready. Climate, hunting, cultural evolution. But in 2007, three researchers said something different. They said, look up, the answer came from space, and the scientific community went to war. In 2007, the hypothesis went public. Richard Firestone, nuclear scientist at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory; James Canet, marine geologist from UC Santa Barbara; Alan West, geoscience consultant. Their paper proposed something extraordinary. A fragmented comet struck Earth 12,800 years ago. Not one impact, multiple airbursts. The fragments exploded over the North America ice sheet. 2 miles of ice vaporized in seconds. The meltwater flooded into Atlantic Ocean. This shuts down the heat circulation system. The airbursts triggered continent-wide wildfires. Dust and soot filled the atmosphere. An impactful winter began. One theory, 3 catastrophes explained. Climate reversal, mass extinction, cultural collapse. The response from the scientific establishment was immediate, and it was not skepticism. It was rejection. Physicist Mark Boswell called the hypothesis pseudoscience. Academic journals rejected papers supporting the theory. Funding requests were denied. Conference presentations were blocked. Here is what the proponents claim happened. Careers were damaged for supporting the hypothesis. The establishment protected the existing paradigm. Overhunting, lake floods, those explanations were comfortable. A cosmic catastrophe that threatened too much. In 2009, archaeologist Todd Sowell published a study. His team tried to replicate the original findings. They examined sediment from sites across North America. Their conclusion: we were unable to reproduce any results. That paper became the cornerstone of the skeptical case. If the evidence cannot be replicated, it is not real. But here is where it gets complicated. Proponents claim Sowell used incorrect laboratory protocols. They say he did not use scanning microscopy. Without proper analysis, you can't identify the markers. They claim 10 independent groups have since replicated the evidence. So who is right? Depends on which paper you read. Depends on which scientist you trust. But here is what bothers me about this. Boswell accused the proponents of presenting a moving target. The theory kept evolving. First it was supernova in 2001, then a single large comet in 2007, then fragmented comet shower. Each time critics debunked one version, the hypothesis shifted to explain the criticism. That is not science, skeptics said. That is unfalsifiable storytelling. Fair criticism, maybe, or maybe that is how science actually works. You refine the theory as evidence accumulates. But the establishment did not see refinement. They saw desperation. The debate stalled in this trench warfare for years. Papers published, papers refuted, endless back and forth. Then, in 2013, something changed the game. A discovery in the Greenland ice, a platinum spike, precisely dated, undeniable, and it appeared in 11 other sites across North America. This was not a moving target anymore. This was a smoking gun. Let me show you the evidence they could not ignore. Let me walk you through what they found. Not theories, not speculation. The physical evidence sitting in laboratories right now. In 2013, researchers examined the Greenland ice core. They found platinum spike at the Younger Dryas boundary. Platinum is rare on Earth's surface. It is abundant in asteroids and comets. The spike appeared exactly 12,800 years ago. Precise dating, no ambiguity, but one data point is not a pattern. So they kept searching. That same platinum anomaly appeared at 11 North American sites. Murray Springs, Arizona. Blackwater Draw, New Mexico. The same geochemical signature, the same date, spanning an entire continent. Then came the microscopic evidence. Magnetic microspherules found at 26 sites across 4 continents. These are tiny spheres created when material melts rapidly, then cools in mid-air. They form in high-temperature events. Volcanic eruptions, industrial smelting, cosmic impacts. Critics said this could be terrestrial. Fungus, insect waste, common sediments particles. But proponents claim the spherules show specific features. Vesicless dendritic microstructure impact signature. Then there is the nanodiamonds. Hexagonal nanodiamonds, also called lance daylight. They require extreme pressure and temperature to form, about 2000 degrees Celsius, found in the same boundary layers. Critics could not replicate this finding initially. They said the crystals were misidentified graphene. The debate continues on this evidence. But here is the evidence that changed everything. Abu Huraira, an archaeological site in Syria. Researchers found melt glass embedded in the sediment layer. Glass formed from melted building materials. Critics immediately proposed an explanation. Normal house fires, ancient structures burning at 1000 degrees or less. Reasonable theory, testable. So the proponents tested it. They took sediment from Abu Huraira. They subjected it to controlled heating in a laboratory. The results showed the glass required temperature exceeding 2200 degrees. No house fire reaches that temperature. Forest fire don't either. Only 2 things create heat that extreme: nuclear detonations or cosmic airbursts. Syria does not have nuclear history 12,800 years ago. Now let us zoom out and look at the pattern. Researchers analyzed 152 global sediment sequences. They measured charcoal and soot deposits, evidence of biomass burning, wildfire at the Younger Dryas boundary, a massive spike, continent-wide fires, synchronized timing. Critics argued these fires happened gradually over centuries, not a single catastrophic event. But when you map the charcoal deposits, the peak aligns with the platinum spike, with the microspherules, with melt glass, with the boundary layer. Everything points to one moment in time: the crater and the admission. 2018, a team using penetrating radar made a discovery beneath the Hiawatha Glacier in northwest Greenland. A crater 31 kilometers wide buried under ice. The size matches a comet fragment impact, exactly where the hypothesis predicted. For years, skeptics demanded a smoking gun. This looked like it, but then came the controversy. Researchers dated mineral grains from downstream sediments, argon dating, uranium lead dating. The result: 58 million years old, ancient, not recent. Case closed. Here is the problem with dating glacier outwash. The ice moves It grinds, it transports materials, sediments downstream could come from anywhere. There is another crater nearby, the Patterson crater. It sits upstream from Hiawatha. That crater is confirmed ancient. What if the dated samples came from there, carried downstream by glacial movements? Proponents argue only one method provides certainty. Drill through the ice, sample the shocked bedrock from the crater floor itself. That has not been done yet. So the Hiawatha crater remains unresolved. A tantalizing possibility, but not proof. At least not yet. But while the crater debate continued, something more significant happened. Michael Shermer, founder of Skeptic magazine, he debated Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson in 2017 on the Joe Rogan Experience. Shermer was dismissive. The evidence was weak, he argued. The hypothesis lacked rigor. Then he reviewed the accumulating data, the platinum spike, the melt glass analysis, the pattern. Shermer publicly reversed his position. He now accepts an impact event occurred. Mark Defend, geologist, equally skeptical in that same debate. He's also changed his stance. The evidence convinced him. These are not fringe researchers admitting defeat. These are high-profile skeptics saying, so what actually happened here? For 17 years, a theory faced brutal resistance. Papers rejected, funding denied, reputations questioned. The establishment held firm to existing explanation. Overhunting, lake floods, gradual climate shifts, but the evidence kept mounting. Platinum anomalies that could not be explained away. Melt glass requiring impossible temperatures from house fires. Synchronized biomass burning across hemisphere. Eventually, the weight became undeniable. Even former critics had to acknowledge it. A cosmic impact triggered the Younger Dryas. It killed the megafauna. It forced human population to reorganize, not universally accepted yet, but no longer fringe science. Here is why this matters beyond ancient history. Proponents believe the impactor came from the Taurid meteor stream, a vast debris field from a fragmented comet. Earth passes through this field twice every year. The stream still contains massive objects. In 1908, Tunguska event, in 2013, Chelyabinsk meteor, both linked to this debris field. Understanding what happened 12,800 years ago is not just about solving a mystery. It is about reorganizing an ongoing threat. So here is my question for you. What else are they refusing to look at? What other evidence sits ignored because it threatens the paradigm? The Younger Dryas hypothesis survived 17 years of resistance because the evidence demanded it. What other truths are waiting for us to stop ignoring them?